The Doug Ford government has made the major announcement. They are breaking up the region of Peel, paving the way for Mississauga, Brampton and Caledon to become independent cities by 2025.
This legislation, if passed, would begin the process of dissolving the region of Peel, effective January 1st, 2025. This historic initiative by our government would help Mississauga, Brampton and Caledon prepare for the significant growth that we expect in their populations in the coming years, particularly when it comes to building homes. It also honors the legacy of the late, great Hazel McCallion, a pivotal figure in the growth of Peel region, who long believed that Mississauga was capable of standing on its own 2 feet. We agree, and we are keeping our commitment to Hazel by moving forward with a plan that will ensure fairness and stability for the residents of Peel, while ensuring that they have the tools they need to succeed.
The legislation was tabled at Queen's Park on Thursday afternoon that kicked off the process by creating a transition board to help ensure the process is fair and balanced. This board will be established sometime this year and would consist of up to 5 members appointed by the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. These members will have expertise in labor, governance and finance, officials said, and will make recommendations in summer or fall of 2024.
If the proposed legislation is passed, I would appoint a transition board to help municipalities prepare to become single tier on January 1st, 2025, when the proposed changes would come into effect. The board would make recommendations on actions our government can take to help the transition proceed smoothly. And it would provide a wide range of advice on matters from financial sustainability to how to allocate assets and liabilities. Also to look at contracts and employment matters, and to determine future service delivery models.
Some areas of analysis include labor relations, disentangling of regional services, property tax arrangements, and financial sustainability. The board will also oversee financial decisions of all 3 municipalities, although it is unclear how much power they will have to interfere in cities' decision-making. Now, financing is one of the biggest points of contention for Brampton. Brampton's Mayor Patrick Brown says that the city of Mississauga would owe them at least $1 billion in infrastructure.
So, first of all, I want to say I think there's a lot of opportunity with the dissolution of Peel region that we can do planning and build housing faster, and so I welcome some of the advantages. The only asterisk I put on this is it relates to the question that you asked, and that is we need to be made whole for the infrastructure that since 1974 we built in Mississauga to service all of Peel region. And the initial estimates we have from consultants the city's worked with is to replace the water treatment facility in Brampton. The wastewater facility would be $1 billion and $3 billion respectively. So that's $4 billion. We'd expect a cost contribution from Mississauga like we did for the facilities in Mississauga. It'll be significantly north of $1 billion. Just in the last month, we've had 4 housing projects stop because of a lack of servicing. Economic development will grind to a halt. Housing will grind to a halt if we're not made whole. I'm grateful the Premier has said very unequivocally that we'll be made whole, and I appreciate his reassurance to us, because it would be catastrophic for property taxes if that wasn't the case. And so it's really reassuring that at the start of this process, the Premier has said that we'll be made whole on what is owed to the City of Brampton.
After the historic announcement on the dissolution of Region of Peel, Brampton Mayor Patrick Brown, along with Deputy Mayor Harkirat Singh and regional councillors, addressed a press conference. Let's listen in to what they said when they were sharing their concerns.
Talking about the Region of Peel dissolution, and I've been very clear that we would welcome a dissolution if it means we can be more agile in building housing and economic development. But the large asterisk in this is Brampton has to be repaid for the infrastructure we have built in Mississauga. And the cost is significant. And so we want to find out how Mississauga is going to pay for this. To rebuild the water treatment facility, wastewater, it could be $4 billion. And we want to see a plan. We want to see Mayor Crombie do her homework and explain to us how. We'll be watching this closely as mayor. I will be steadfast in making sure that the mayor of Mississauga can't take a ride on the backs of Brampton taxpayers. This isn't Canada's wonderland, and we will expect fairness. And if If we don't get it, we will be very outspoken and look at every legal recourse possible.
All three municipalities in Peel contribute a large portion of their tax revenue towards the region as a whole. Brampton provides nearly 40% of its tax revenue to the region, while Mississauga contributes 45%. This money is used to help pay for joint core services such as police, water treatment, roads, garbage collection, and housing supports. Once the three cities are independent, these services will most likely rest solely on the municipalities. Officials stress that they expect local services to continue uninterrupted during the transition. It is possible that some services, such as police and utility rates for water services, would remain regional. Further, legislation could be proposed in the fall 2024 to address any outstanding restructuring matters by January 1st, 2025, 1 year before the next municipal election. Peel region will officially dissolve. Mississauga Mayor Bonnie Crombie has long called for separation from Peel region, suggesting the city has outgrown its counterparts and would save much needed revenue by standing on its own 2 feet. She has suggested the move could save taxpayers in her city about $1 billion over the next decade.
This is a very historic day. I've been waiting for this day for many years, as has Hazel McCallie, and I know that she fought the formation of the region of Peel and fought Bill Davis 50 years ago, so she's smiling down on us today. So, I've only asked for fairness and equity in this process. I ask that our tax dollars continue to be invested in our city for our growth and infrastructure, our programs and services. And I will only expect, and I know the minister does as well, that same fairness and equity be the principles that move us going forward as we all grow, and we all grow independently so that we are set up for growth. The reality is the infrastructure was paid for by the city of Mississauga when we were in our growth phase. 70 cents on the dollar. And not only does the water and wastewater treatment plant provide for Mississauga and Brampton and Caledon, but also York region. So there is lots of space, and this, in my view, this is easy placed in a utility and managed by an outside board and be a user pay system. And this is very easy to disentangle. So there are a lot of approaches going forward. I look forward to working very closely with the government. But certainly I'm delighted that the minister will be making us all whole. Perhaps it's Mississauga that will be needed to be made whole for the contributions that we have made over the past 50 years during the growth phase of Brampton and Caledon. Thank you.
According to a 2019 report by Deloitte on the financial impact of services in Peel region, Mississauga would benefit the most from dissolution, while Caledon could struggle to maintain their finances. It found that if Peel region were to dissolve, significant effort will be required to negotiate how assets and services will be divided. Now, what happens to other regions? The province says it will name regional facilities to the regions of Durham, Halton, York, Niagara, Simcoe, and Waterloo to determine if the government is relevant to the needs of its communities. The government first created the position of provincially appointed facilitators in November 2022. These facilitators were meant to review the roles and responsibilities of both the regional and municipal governments in the area. Officials said these facilitators will make recommendations in terms of meeting municipal housing pledges where regional governments are still required. It is possible the provincial government could dissolve further regional governments as part of this process.